be able to share with you about C3 MULTISITE as we look to the year ahead and on towards 2025. Sometimes people ask me, why are we committed to MULTISITE? Why expand? Why launch new locations? And the best way I could go about answering that for you today is to encourage you in the location that you're in today to look around. Because someone in your row or in the comments section or certainly in the location that you find yourself today, their life will have been changed by encountering Jesus in church. If we're not invested into that location, if we were not there, they may not be in church today. And so we believe that digital ministry and our investment into that area in combination with launching new locations is currently the best way we can go about fulfilling our God-given mission that Pastor Steve reminded us of earlier. I want to read from the Bible. I think this sums up really well where we're at in relation to C3 MULTISITE this year. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 2. It says this: "Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide and do not hold back. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes." We believe God has called us to expand. We believe we are called to launch more locations, and we believe that we will be doing that into the future. Can I get an amen? We're called to expand. When we look at that verse, part of expansion is also that we need to lengthen our cords and strengthen our stakes. And specifically as we look at 2022, we feel that that is the position that God has us in relation to C3 MULTISITE. That this is a year of lengthening and strengthening. That we're making sure that we put in place the right systems, the right support structures in order to allow us to expand further into the future. And that is what we want to do this year. Because we don't just want to launch one more location at some point in the future. We want to have a system in place that allows us to multiply and see many more locations launched as we go forward into the future. The next verse, it goes on to say this: "For you will spread out to the right and the left, and your descendants will dispossess nations and settle in their desolate cities." I believe that is a promise for us, church. I believe that is a promise over the C3 church. You know, I look around our nation and our world further afield. I believe that there are towns and cities that are spiritually desolate. But God has anointed us. He has called us to go into those places, to launch something and to see something of His kingdom rebuilt and revived as we start locations into towns and cities that were once desolate coming back to life. That is in our future, and I believe that over the future of C3 Church. And when we stand here next year for Vision Sunday, God willing, we will be announcing to you the launch of not one, but 2 new locations as we continue with fulfilling that God-given mission that we have. But there's also lots going on in our existing locations this year, things that I'm excited to tell you about. This is a landmark year in the life of C3 Church. You might not know this, but this year, the C3 Church is celebrating its 40th birthday. That's a landmark moment, and we want to celebrate that moment. We want to look back and to see God's faithfulness, His goodness, to celebrate the lives that have been changed, to see the story that God has brought this church upon, and to celebrate it. But you know what? As we look back and we celebrate it, we believe we're also building faith that if God has done that in the past, God can do so much more as we go into our future. And so on the weekend of the 17th, 18th of September, we're going to party, church. We're going to celebrate 40 years and what God has done in those 40 years. And we're going to give praise to God. And then there's Christmas and Easter in 2022. Christmas and Easter, they represent a moment of opportunity, an extra moment of opportunity for us to reach out and to share the love of God into our communities and to reach people with the gospel. We're just celebrating what God did just at Christmas just gone, We're celebrating the fact that we saw over 1,000 people come to our physical services. We're celebrating that thousands of people joined in with our online experience in those services as well. That 80 people took Bibles exploring what it meant to follow Jesus. We're celebrating that. We're excited for that. We gave thanks for that. But this year, as we look to Christmas and Easter 2022, we want to level up. We want to see more of that. We want to reach more people with the good news of the gospel. And the first of those is Easter, that's coming up in a couple of months' time. We want to do Easter at C3 Church like we have never done it before. We want to go up a level with the same message that the cross equals love. We will be doing Sign in the Sky with that message. The cross equals love. We want our towns, our cities to hear loud and clear this Easter that hope is alive. Jesus is risen and hope is alive. I believe that's a message our world desperately needs to hear. And so through Sign in the Sky, through draping the building in Cambridge with the cross equals love, a great big banner on the side of the building in Colchester, the same message in Bury St Edmunds, through our marketing campaigns, stickers, through kids' activities, through Easter egg hunts, through community impact touch points. We want to spread that message like never before. We want to see more people in our Easter services than ever before. We've set a goal of 1,500 in the room and many, many more joining us online. You know, we've been praying, church, haven't we, for revival. I believe that this represents an opportunity for us to go from that place of praying and celebrating God moving as we've prayed to putting the rubber on the road and getting involved and saying, actually, this is an opportunity to spread the good news and I want to be part of it. So maybe God's gifted you. Maybe you're a great marketer. Maybe you've got great ideas. Maybe you just say, I've got some time and I want to be involved. Why don't you come be part of the Easter team as we seek to tell people that there's a God who loves them and we want to reach more people than ever before. So why don't you head to the next steps point in your location, or you can go to thec3.uk/Easter and find out more about how you could play your part in making this an Easter like no other at C3 Church. We believe across C3 MULTISITE, the best is yet to come.
If you enjoyed this video today, why don't you click subscribe and click on that notification bell to get a notification the next time we upload a video. And if you're new or you've been coming to the C3 Church for a little while now, why don't you find out what your next step might be in the journey of faith? Click on the next step link in the description below to find out what your next step in your journey might be.